Welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever. The show where each week a panel of respected marketing strategists, all trained and certified by the legendary Dan Kennedy, share their wisdom, experience, strategies, and insights on how to use Dan Kennedy's philosophy on business and marketing in any type of business, and that you can apply to your business immediately. Here's your host, Craig Valine.
Hello and welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever. I'm Craig Valine, your host today. And today I have my expert panel of Dan Kennedy certified experts, independent business advisors who know everything about Dan Kennedy. And so I'm just going to welcome you. You can just wave. We have Dan Cricks from Cleveland, Ohio, Becky Auer from Pittsburgh and Jupiter, Florida, Mark Imperial from just outside Chicago, Illinois, Mike Capuzzi from around the Philly area of Pennsylvania, Rochelle Shaw in Riverside, California, Chuck Troutman from Arizona, Ben Thole from North Carolina, and Joe Norcutt from my hometown, Massachusetts. Welcome, everybody. Pretty much this is our regular panel, plus or minus one or two, but it's going to be a great show today. So this month, the month of February, which we're recording this, we're focusing on a program that Dan Kennedy created called The Phenomenon. And the theme of that program is achieve more in 12 months than you have in the previous 12 years. And there are 4 points to that. It was attract more opportunity and cooperation, erase more obstacles, create more income and wealth, and achieve more important goals in just 12 months than the previous 12 years combined. And so in that program, there were 5 chief triggers that Dan says that trigger the phenomenon. And so I'm going to read them, and then we're going to focus on one of them today, and then the others in the previous episodes for the month. Number 1 chief trigger is you need to take action on your ideas and intentions. Number 2 is you need to radically change your preconceived and ingrained beliefs about your own limitations, about fast versus slow, and about money. Number 3 is you need an appropriate, viable vehicle, a business or entrepreneurial activity well-matched to your own talents, abilities, know-how, and interest, market-driven and capable of providing the fortune or fame or both you aspire to do. Number 4 is you need to understand and apply direct marketing and direct response marketing, as well as the full complement of direct marketing tools to the business. And number 5 is you need a support network of teachers, guides, mentors, and coaches who substitute their own successful experience and blueprints evolved from your slow trial and error experimentation. So that's a mouthful. But first, I want to start this episode off with Mark Imperial. Mark recommended this topic for the month of February. And Mark, tell us why you picked this topic.
Sure, Craig. It's simply timing. So at the beginning of the year, I'm a recovering perfectionist, and the OCD in me tells me, if I'm going to work on something at the beginning of the year, it's got to be the biggest, boldest idea. And the concept of the phenomenon is really like achieving more in 12 months than you did in the past 12 years. So why don't we start it in January and February rather than wait till September? So it was as simple as that, Craig.
Dan, I just read the order that we have the phenomenon, but number 1 was actually at number 5. And you said, hey, let's put that at number 1. You need to take action on your ideas and intentions. Why did you suggest that?
Well, because, back to a little bit kind of like what Mark had to say, this is the time of year a lot of people are open and thinking about getting things done. So I wanted to talk about taking action and what you need to do to get your goals on the way to achieving them as soon as possible, to be able to help some people put some things into place, take some action, and really see some good results from it.
Yeah. So Mike Capuzzi, welcome to this episode of the most incredible marketing show ever. What do you see as one of the number 1 challenges when it comes to people getting a big idea and then not doing anything with it, or doing something with it, but not bringing it to full fruition? Talk about an example.
Yeah, well, I think, Craig, I think you kind of answered the question as I would answer it. I think the big problem with folks is they have lots of ideas, especially as Dan said at this time of year. I mean, we all do. But I think for whatever reason, whether it's just energy, things get in the way, I think a lot of great ideas don't ever see the light of day because action's not taken. So I think, that's really the key thing. As a matter of fact, I was going through kind of thinking about this topic as we were getting ready to prepare. And in 2008, a little quick test here, I published one of Dan's Ultimate Success Secret books, co-published, co-authored. And he asked if there's one thing that is really the key to ultimate success. Now, I'm not going to put everyone on the spot here, but I'll ask a rhetorical question. What is that ultimate success secret? I know. Yeah. So, what if you read the book, you will come to find out that Dan's opinion of the ultimate success secret is massive action. That's the key. Massive action. Not even just action, but massive action. And when you think about that, that sounds like classic Dan, right? Dan doesn't do anything small. So it's this idea of, when things come to us, when ideas are presented, when opportunities are presented, to go all in, to determine to see if it's worth it, obviously. But if it is a good idea, then, just go forward. So I think this concept of massive action is, again, it sounds like classic Dan Kennedy, where, it's just do it, right? He says that in the book, the big Nike thing, just do it. So was that the answer you would have had, Craig?
That's the one I would have had exactly, verbatim. Rochelle, what else needs to be in place when somebody has a big idea? What needs to be in place in order to make it happen?
Geez, well, I always think of breaking it down into projects versus tasks, right? Mm. So anytime like you have this list, you've got this whole list that's like all of these big projects instead of, okay, well, what does it take to get that project done? So even like writing a book, right? How is that broken down? It's like you don't write a book, just say, okay, yeah, that's on my list of things to do today. It's okay, well, what are the different chapters? What's the outline of the chapter? Okay, well, what are the big ideas for every chapter? All right, now, what stories do I want to put that's attached to this big idea, right? So even the massive action, I think people get tripped up with understanding the difference between a project and a task.
Becky, how does somebody know what the first thing to do is when they're putting an action plan into place?
That's a great idea. I always suggest if people don't have a mentor to have someone help you, right? And the key to that is you have to have somebody that's already been there and done that. So everybody, especially after COVID, wants to be a business coach or a life coach or something like that. And that's cool. But I would say if you are going to take advice from somebody, you want to take advice from the expert. So just taking me, for example, right? I ran a restaurant started from 0 up to 6.5 million. So anybody else who's going to start a restaurant, I would say get a mentor who's already owned a restaurant or started a restaurant for yourself. Don't go to somebody who's never done what you want to do. And so when you're looking for that person, I would just say you have to vet them a little bit and you have to be comfortable with them because not everybody's your peep, right? There's a lot of different people out there. And that's why there's 9 of us on this call, because not everyone's going to like me, but they might like Dan Cranks, right? So there's just a whole bunch of different factors that go into it. And
look,
so
everybody likes me, Becky. Everybody likes me.
You know it, Rochelle. I like you. Of course, we're the only 2 women on here, so what can I say?
Right. We're gonna always, over some hot wings.
As far as you know, you're the only 2 women here. Anyway,
that's true.
Chuck
you
Troutman,
both could probably kick our asses too.
Yeah, no kidding.
Amen.
So Chuck, what are some of the things you would advise somebody to do when they're starting out to take action, massive action? What are the first things they need to do?
Well, 2 things Dan Kennedy would say. He would say that procrastination is the enemy of action because so many people procrastinate. And then the other thing he would say is good enough. He would not say to put out crap. but good is good enough, because
Right.
you can change it if you get it out there. But if you're a perfectionist and try to make it perfect, you will never be in massive action, because you'll be diddling around with the small shit.
True that. Joe, how important are goals? We talked about goal setting in the month of January in our episodes. Then, how important are goals related to this topic?
Well, the goal is where you're going to end up here. Basically, this is where, putting that goal in place and then saying, how do I get there to that goal, is where you need to basically come up with a manageable set of steps to get there. And basically, that's how you end up doing it. It's got to be outlined, just like, it was mentioned earlier. And even if you're just putting it down on paper, you have to have an outline somewhere. And then you work on that outline and you'll adjust it. But that'll help you get to the goal that you're ending with at the end. And you need to program it and figure that it's not going to happen tomorrow, but it's going to happen over a period of time. And you may have more than one item that you want to take into consideration. But concentrate on the first one, and as that one starts to line up and roll, then you can get into the next one. Don't overdo it and get too many things going at once, because then it gets crazy. And the thing is, too, you have to allot some time. This is the whole thing. Allotting time, whether it's, I find allotting time between 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning is a great time for me. It works. If you're trying to do it at 4 to 5, well, there's a phone call, there's this, there's that, and then it's gone. Oh, I'll do it after dinner, and it's like, well, something else came up. So I feel, dedicating some time in the morning before everything else happens, outline where are you at reaching that goal every week, and what you're doing, I think, is the most important part of this whole thing.
Awesome. Ben, tell us what you would recommend to one of your members or your clients about trying to achieve this phenomenon.
Yeah, I think one of the keys is, if you are trying to accomplish more in 12 months than you have in the previous 12 years, you need to approach things differently. And I think to carry on what some of the others have said, the people you surround yourselves with is super important. It's in addition to mentors like Becky mentioned, but also just the people you're working with, the people you're bouncing ideas off of in the day-to-day. Everyone has to have buy-in on that. One of the things I enjoyed about the phenomenon was just seeing the people that were featured in it, and that these were like regular people that you would meet up at some of the Kennedy events and so forth, and see that they're just normal people. They don't have any magical superpowers. Their superpower is just taking that massive action, not having everything have to be perfect, surrounding themselves with other people who are encouraging them, finding the mentors that have done it before. So there was no quote unquote formula other than that, the kind of behaviors that can lead to that kind of a breakthrough.
Craig, one thing that really kind of did it for me, as far as the massive action is so when I lost it all, right after 9/11, and I had to rebuild back my telephone company, I just took this principle and said, okay, what is everything I know to do to build this company? Like, I wasn't looking at how much am I making this month? Like, I had no idea I had hit back the $1 million in 6 months. I just put my head down and did everything I knew how to do. So I was doing direct mail. I was doing outreach. I was calling everybody. I was making sure that everybody who called, we got their address from. We were following up. Like, I fixed the scripts in my business so that every time somebody called, like, my staff knew exactly what to say. I monitored that. I sent out a monthly newsletter. I did every single thing. And then literally it was September. I looked to see, and I clicked on the button, how much I had deposited in the bank. Statute of limitations is over, right? But how much I had actually deposited inside of the bank. And it was $947,000 in September. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to hit the million. Like, I'm going to really hit the million. But it was because of the massive action, right? And so I think that part of people get caught up in the planning. And I am like totally reverse. I just do. I just do. I just sit there and just do. Okay, what else do I know how to do? Even after this recent cancer battle, right? Isn't this fun? I sat there and said, okay, well, why don't you just do all the stuff you know how to do, Rochelle? And that's what I did. And so now things are totally different 7 months later, right? So it doesn't have to be, 12 months later, whatever, but Dan told me, it's not what takes so long. It's not the process. It's you, him, and Han, and doing the hokey pokey and sticking your right foot in, right foot out, and deciding, should I do it? Should I not? Should I stay or should I go to men? Right? That's what takes the longest. It's not you doing the actual action that takes the longest to get you there. And once I heard him say that, it was go time for me.
Right. Hold on, everybody. We have to take a quick break to get a message from our sponsor. We'll be right back.
This episode of The Most Incredible Marketing Show Ever is sponsored by Ben Thole at marketingfunnel.com. Marketingfunnel.com empowers coaches and experts to scale their businesses with effective marketing automation. To get a free copy of their marketing automation playbook to transform your strategies, go to marketingfunnel.com. Now, back to our show.
All right. So, Dan, you had something to say?
Yeah, Mark said in the beginning about us having all these big ideas, and what Rochelle just said about just taking massive action. She's not normal, and I don't think anybody in the panel is normal because of all the training we've had. And the other reason we're not is because of we're hanging with like-minded people, which is what got me so excited about bringing this band back together, if you will. But Mark said about a bunch of big ideas. Here's the thing that a lot of people have to be careful with. People outside of your world who haven't been maybe where we are will shoot those ideas down and you'll put them aside real quick. I had it happen to me a number of years ago. I was part of an organization and they didn't get it. And I brought it up an idea and I let them shoot it down. I literally let them shoot me down. And I came back a year later and did it, and it was tremendously successful. Had I brought that idea up among a group like this, I would have done it a year sooner. I would have made more money. So you have to be careful because there's a lot of people around you who will blow up your ideas and discount them. And so you want to make sure you try to surround yourself as much as you can with like-minded people, success-oriented people who get it.
Yeah. Becky, you had something you were chiming in as well.
Sorry, don't know how that happened. What I was going to comment on Rochelle was she did a lot of littles. When I work with somebody, I'm like, you got to do a lot of littles and you got to do it all at the same time and you can't get overwhelmed and I'll help you through that. And one of the things that I remember Dan Kennedy always saying is you just got to start doing it and taking direction from the right people, having that mentor. I helped save another fellow restaurant owner. He was 2 weeks away from bankruptcy. And I said, I can tell you exactly what to do, but you have to do it. You have to implement it. And to his credit, he did it. But there are so many people that just won't or can't or don't want to try because they might fail. And, when that happens, I kind of like, okay, everybody fails. I tell my kids, hurry up and fail because it brings you closer to success.
Right. I was president of the California Junior Chamber of Commerce, and they had a tool called the CPG, the Chairman's Planning Guide. And it was 10 questions that you ask running before you do any project. The first question would say, what is your primary purpose of this project? Number 2 are, what are the secondary goals of this project? Number 3, who needs to be involved to make this project a success? Number 4 is, what are the tools, resources, and things you need to make this a success? Number 5 or 6 is, what potential problems can occur along the way that, so it had a series of questions that nearly guaranteed a success in making things happen. And so my question to you is, what tools do you use or do you know of that can help someone stay on track to make sure they get things done on a regular basis? So Mark, let's start with you.
Yeah, before getting into tools, I wanted to make a comment. We've been mentioning a lot about, massive action and being the theme of the book. And here's the Chicago version, Mike. We published the Chicago version of the Ultimate Success Secret. And yes, if you read the whole book, it's massive action, right? And then you say to yourself, okay, that's great advice, but what does that mean? Or I believe that the number one for anybody listening that might be like, great, that's great to say, massive action. What do I do? Now I'm running like a chicken with my head cut off, right? What am I doing? And I think the number one enemy to massive action is analysis paralysis. If you guys have ever felt that, it's like, what is it that I should do? And linked to what a lot of folks said here, when you're surround yourself with people that have already done what you're looking to do. They've already got the model. So it's like, join mastermind groups, or even just research, study case studies of businesses that are similar to what you're trying to achieve. But the point is, analysis paralysis is what do I do first? What do I surround myself with? And I think it's linked to like throwing grenades. I throw a lot of grenades too, but I think the real cure to analysis paralysis is when you fully wrap your mind around direct response marketing, you kind of get a nutshell model of like what it takes to launch and grow any business. And you almost can fit any business into the model of direct response marketing. And I've created a process of 5 what I call profit loops. There's literally just your lead generation loop, your conversion loop where you convert folks, your ascension loop where you rise people up into your organization. You've got your then you've got your retention loop. How do you keep all your customers? And then I've got my referral or multiplication loop. How do you multiply that business? And every business on the planet sort of fits into that same model. So once you know that model, you're going to know what steps you need to take. Like Rochelle, when you mentioned that you were going to start a business, you kind of already knew what the massive action was because you understand what's my lead generation system, what's my conversion system going to be, what's my ascension system going to be, what's my retention system going to be, and what's my exponential reach model going to be, right?
Right.
Once you understand all that, and it might sound like a lot, but there's a learning curve to it. But once you get it, man, you could launch almost any business that you want. So I just wanted to put that out there, Craig, and kind of clarify it for anybody that might be thinking, what should I take massive action on? Right. And I think maybe it's first your own learning of understanding the models, if that's helpful.
Yeah, most people that are watching this or listening to this, I hope, already have a business in some way, shape, or form. Because what Rochelle said, and what I also went through this experience back in 2019, I lost everything. And so I had to get back up on my feet as quickly as possible. So I started with the assets that I had available, and that was my group. So I reached out and I brought them to dinner and I said, hey, here's what happened. Here's what I'm looking to do. Anybody interested? They all raised their hands. So we started doing those meetings again. However clumsy it was, we did those at a meeting, and there was problems and everything, but it still just got it going and got people involved and wanted to and loved being there. And then it was like, what's next? Let's get the mastermind back together. Let's do this, that, and the other thing. So I had just asked a question about what tools and resources, but at the risk of going away from that question, what are marketing assets or having those resources available essential to taking massive action? And if not, how do you do it?
I want to throw in a tool real quick now that you mentioned that, Craig, because it's actually really simple. And I think everyone here on the call will resonate with this tool. And that's having yourself a signature book. Lead with a signature book in your field, whatever your process is. If you want to get into any field fast, what I've learned was when people didn't know me in a certain market, write the book on it and get it out there in the market. Then you can go speak on it, do media tours around it. But the title of your book, the theme of your book, your content of your book is going to define who it is you are, who you serve, and how you serve them. So a signature book, I think, is one of the first things that I would always lead with in any field.
Thank you, sir. Mike, what do you think?
As far as tools to achieve these actions and goals, Craig?
Yeah,
I've been thinking about it, and I would say the answer I was going to give 2 minutes ago is going to be different than what I'm going to share right now. And I think this kind of goes to what Rochelle and even Becky suggested, but I will go back. you've got to, it's really a lot of this, everything we're going to talk about throughout these episodes, a lot of it comes down to your own head trash and where you are in your own head. And I would say you've really got to be very careful. If you want to be running optimally, whether it's marketing, goal setting, goal achieving, business growth, your head's got to be in the right place. And I took an entire year off not too long ago of all media, all crap and that's stuff that, you may think, well, I'm strong enough, none of that affects me. But if you're checking social media and you're listening to other people and they're bringing you down, that all has a direct correlation and a direct effect on your performance and your productivity and your ability to really, achieve a lot of this stuff. So I think that, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I just think having that clear head and watching what you put in, watching what is feeding your brain is really, really critical on how well you can do everything we're going to share.
That's good advice. We're getting towards the end of the show, so I want to get people around that topic. One of the 3 questions we just asked. So it's like, what advice do you give for people to take massive action and on their dreams, on the things they truly want and desire, and what advice can you give? So Becky, let's go with you.
Yeah, I think one of the easiest ways, I think, to track your goals is to start with a 5-year plan, then a 3-year plan where you want to be, and back into it. Then your 1-year plan, and then you break them down into 90-day increments. And so for anyone starting out, there's several planners or workbooks out there where that will help you when in 5 years I want to be here, in 3 years I want to be here, in 1 year I want to be here. So we can probably put links to them, or you can just research them on your own. Taking consistent action, it just has to be the right action, right? So you have to not guess. You have to have some direction from that. And then you just break them down into actionable pieces. And it's all so easy to say, but it is not the easiest to do. And we all get that because we've coached and helped other people as well as ourselves. And so I would just say, take consistent action, but find a mentor to make sure you're on the right track with that.
Awesome. Chuck, last advice, tools, resources, anything you want to say?
Well, I can't go with a 5-year plan because at my age, that could be a life sentence. So the number one tool, I believe, all of us that facilitate mastermind groups and have for years and years, is for someone to be in a mastermind group, but take it very, very serious and use that for accountability, as well as getting the ideas from all the members, and then particularly maybe investing side time with the coach or the leader of that mastermind group to really help you stay on track for what you're trying to do and to get into that massive action.
Awesome. Rochelle, what do you have to say about this?
Gosh, I am always the rebel. I would say do these 2 things, right? Just do what you know how to do right now. Just get some movement, because it's always easy to steer a moving car instead of a parked car. Did I stop again?
No,
you're fine.
Okay, I'll keep going. Just do what you know how to do. Like, I think so many people I'm searching and I have to know the right answer, and the perfectionist gets in us, and school taught us to go find a teacher and find the right one. And then it has to be, just do what you know how to do. If all you know how to do is knock on doors, then go knock on friggin' doors, but at least it's going to move you closer to your goal.
Awesome. Joe, what do you have to say? Any tools, resources, or last minute advice?
Well, I would say the advice here is commit to the time to do it. Because, I've been working with someone during the month of January, and I've been getting I'm getting to it. And I'm like, well, we've come towards the end. I think you haven't gotten to it. And I've tried to convince him to, because he goes into his office like at 8 a.m. and people are talking to him and there's things going on. And I'm like, close the door. They can all wait 60 minutes, and let's get these steps completed. So, and I've got him taking at least one easy one to see if we can get him rolling. Once he sees that, then I expect him to move forward with other parts of the goal. But it's all about committing to that time.
Awesome. Ben, last words, tools, resources.
Sure. One of my favorite Dan Kennedy isms, and I think he spoke about this in relation to the phenomenon, and that is that the parable or the fable of the tortoise and the hare was written for the tortoise market to kind of make them feel better about themselves and not feel like they had to, go move fast. But action will always trump inaction, and fast action is even better because even if it's not the success you want, you're getting that much closer. As I think Becky had said, like fail fast, figure out what's not working, move on to the next thing, keep optimizing, and then only through that will you be able to reach that speed of implementation that's going to get you where you haven't gotten before.
Dan Cricks.
So I'm going to bring it real down to the basic level. Rochelle talked about doing all this action when she was trying to get back, and for me, I use something that's simple, so simple people ignore it. It's not sexy, it's not techie. Something that's integral to me getting a lot done is this right here. I use a to-do list all day, every day. So that's for next week, but this is what the last half of this week looks like. Yeah. Okay. And what this does is in the morning, I sit down and I write down the things I want to get done. And I write down what I want to get done for the week and then per day. And then I work from that. And we all know this. And I think, Joe, you were just talking about it with a client. We all know that our day never goes the way we plan it to. There's going to be a fire to put out. There's going to be some, even in our life, our regular life. This allows me to get back to it. I put that fire out. I take care of that thing. Then I get back quickly, because where we lose a lot of time when we're trying to get things done is when we get off track for whatever. It takes too much time to get back on track. With this, all I have to do is look at, I have to have this done. And I'll even put down, I need to get this done by 3:00, or I need to get this done by noon. And I keep coming back to it. And as you can see, it never ends up the way it starts out. Things are added, they're crossed out, they're highlighted, but that helps me keep on track for getting a lot of massive action done. And then the other thing I do is I check everything off as I get it done. Okay, you'll see over to the side here where I check things off. At the end of the day, I want to look. And it's important that you're able to kind of keep score. Wow, I got all of those done. Okay, sometimes I don't. That's the reality of it. The next day I have to come back and get it. Or sometimes I'm ahead of the game and I get some of tomorrow's stuff done. But it helps keep me on track to get progress on that massive action.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're getting to the end here, so I'm going to wrap up with this. One thing I do want to say is that it's impossible for us to cover this in detail in a 30-minute show. So if you liked what you heard from any of the expert panel guests here, the Dan Kennedy certified IBAs, reach out to them. Their contact information is in the description and or on our website. Also, we have a free gift pack for anybody listening to the show. Go get it. It's free, and it's your way to tap into each guest if you wish. So that's it for this episode. Thank you for watching. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Be ready to hear another episode every Thursday. And thank you again. I'm Craig Deline. Bye.
Thank you for joining us this week on The Most Incredible Marketing Show Ever. New episodes are available every week on Thursdays. To receive a free gift pack from our expert panelists and get access to show notes from previous episodes, be sure to visit our website, www.mostincrediblemarketingshowever.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and click the bell up in the right-hand corner to be notified of future episodes so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate you clicking the like button and leaving a comment on what big aha you got during the show. That's it for today's episode. See you next week.